So bulk rename utility is a quick way to rename a bunch of files, and I found this after trying to organize some data after we were running a data collection. I was new to this project, and naturally I had messed up the file naming convention that we needed in order to run a code, and the code wasn't going to work unless we had the file names in this specific format. I was feeling really lazy. I didn't want to rename the hundreds of Bioware files that I had just exported from this force plate data collection. And this tool ended up being really useful because we had hundreds of trials for about 15 athletes, and it was going to take me forever to go one by one and rename everything just because I forgot to add an underscore or put a space in the wrong place. So I started Googling, I found bulk rename utility, and it was so helpful. I still use it quite frequently. I also showed my lab mate, who is way better at coding than me, and he said that if he knew about this sooner, it would have saved him hours throughout his PhD. So I thought I would share and see if it would be helpful for other biomechanists or grad students or just anyone. Okay, so first we're going to start by Googling bulk rename utility, and we're going to go to this website where they have this large free download button, the blue one in the middle, and you can download the bulk rename utility software, and it'll go to your computer. So we start by opening up the bulk rename utility software, and I'm going to demonstrate the use case that I talked through in my story. So this is the software, and you can see my original test folder. I have a bunch of force trials, which are .txt files that came out of Bioware that I'm going to rename. So I go to desktop, choose the place where the folder is located, and then if I hit Control A, it'll highlight everything in that particular folder. Then I want to replace the space in my file naming convention with an underscore, so you can't see the space there, but it's there. Then I want to remove the last three numbers so I can update my numbering system to start with a zero-based indexing. Then I go over to the numbering section. I'm going to start at 0, and then I want to pad the numbers by 3, so it would be like 004 if that was the number. And then for the mode, I'm going to update that to suffix so that I'll add those numbers onto the end of my trial. Then I also want to add in the subject ID for the particular subject that was participating in that data collection. So I'm going to do that as an add. So I go insert 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is just my fake number I'm making up. And I'm going to insert that into position 6. So you can see it added those numbers into the middle of my file. And if I click off of all the files, it'll unhighlight. But if I do Control A, it'll highlight and do that to everything in the folder. And you can see the original test folder, the files are still named the way they were, but once I click this button, it's going to double check with me that I want to follow through. Very quickly processes all of the data, and then you can see now that those files are immediately updated with the new names that I just specified via my file naming convention. Okay, so that was one use case example that I gave you from a pain point that I've experienced throughout grad school, but there's a lot of different uses that you could use the software for, or other functions that I didn't even explain or touch in that dashboard that would be very helpful. Some other places I think this would be useful in biomechanics would be for renaming force files, high-speed videos, motion capture files, IMU data, pretty much anything we're collecting in biomechanics. So any time that you have a bunch of files where you need to rename or add something to it, the software is really helpful. I also think it could be super helpful for organizing personal pictures with dates or other information that you want to add to it, and I'm sure it would be really beneficial for people in other fields in ways that I haven't thought about yet. And then just a quick word on file naming conventions. My professors used to really harp on this when I was in undergrad, and I didn't really understand the value of it until I got to grad school. But you can see with a tool like this, if you have everything named in a systematic way, it'd be really easy to go in and update your system. You end up wasting so much time trying to find things, so a file naming convention and organizing your projects well is really beneficial for so many reasons, and your sanity will thank you for it. So hopefully this tool is helpful. Let me know what you think.